بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we find ourselves now on the 6th day of this Hadith Challenge. Today we will be looking at one Hadith which deals with some of the wisdoms of Allah's prohibitions. The Hadith is, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, الخمر جماع الإثم. That wine, meaning intoxicants, is the root of sins. Again, الخمر جماع الإثم. Wine, meaning intoxicants, is the root of sins. One last time. الخمر جماع الإثم. Wine, intoxicants, is the root of sins. Narrated by Razin. Now looking at some of the words of hadith. Al-Khamr. So Al-Khamr literally means wine. That is the literal meaning. Now, in a figurative sense, it refers to any intoxicant that is able to reduce or diminish a person's capacity to distinguish between right and wrong. Umar radiallahu anhu mentions, Al-Khamru ma yukhamiru al-aql. Khamr, so Khamr, which was initially used for wine, now it is used more generally, and he explains that Al-Khamr is anything which yukhamiru al-aql, which covers the mind, which inhibits a person's capacity to distinguish between right and wrong. So in the same way, this word khimar, which is the headscarf that the women wear. The plural is khumur. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this word in the Quran, وَلْيَضْرِبْنَا بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. That the believing women, they should put their khumurihinna, they should put their headscarves, وَلْيَضْرِبْنَا بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ, on their coverings, on their collars, so which is used to indicate their chests, that their head scarves should be covering their heads and should also be covering their chests. So this is khimar, the headscarf. So it is that thing which covers. And al-khamr is wine in the literal sense, and figuratively anything which covers the mind, which obstructs the mind from distinguishing between right and wrong. Then the next word, al-jumma'. Al-khamru jumma'ul ithmi. So from jim, mim, and ayn, meaning together. So jumma' is used to show a mixture or a collection of several things. So according to this translation, it would be wine is a collection of sins, or wine is a total of sins, or the origin of thing. Wine is the origin of sins. These are different translations for the word jumma'. So in one ayat of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about wine. He says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما. Meaning that they ask you about wine and gambling. Say, in both there is great sin and some benefits for people, and their sin is greater than their benefit. So, some explanation of this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He acknowledges that there is harm and there is benefit in wine and gambling. This is acknowledged upfront. But the great harm has been highlighted first because it is predominant. But the benefits have not been ignored either. There are some. وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ. There are some benefits for people, no doubt. There are some, and you keep on seeing, you know, the studies which take place if a person drinks half a glass of wine, once every X days, then, it can be good for him, it might not be good for him, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of possible benefits which might present themselves. But the final statement in this ayah is that their harm is overwhelmingly greater than their benefits. There are benefits, but the harms are so much greater that the benefits are considered like as if they don't exist. And that is why we have been prohibited from them entirely. Now, this prohibition is based on the nature of the humans, the creation that the Creator made. Today, a person, you will rarely find a person who will say that, I'm going to go for a drink, but I'll just take one social drink. Or a person who goes for gambling and he says, you know what, I'm just going to play one game of slots and that's it. Once they get started, now the ball is rolling. Now they want to do a bit more, a bit more, a bit more. And then overindulging in wine and gambling, which is commonplace. It is normal that when someone takes one, then he will take another and he'll take another. A person starts gambling, he will play one game, he'll play two games, he'll play three games, and it'll keep on going. It has a destructive effect on the person himself. It has a destructive effect on his family, and it has a destructive effect on society at large. So this is only a few of the wisdoms behind this prohibition. Look, Allah is Al-Hakim. He knows the full reasons behind, what He orders us to do and what He prohibits us from doing. But this hadith is telling us that Al-Khamru Juma'ul Ithmi, that once a person's ability to distinguish between right and wrong has been removed, now he will fall into such things that he would not normally fall into. And drinking has been prohibited from us. We have been prohibited from drinking because of our nature, that it will not just happen once or twice and then that's it. But a person, as he gets into the habit, he falls into it deeper and deeper. So we need to be firm on this, that the one who created us knows better than us. He created us with certain instincts, with certain tendencies. So we should be mindful that we do not fall into these prohibitions, otherwise we end up losing. So being here in Canada, where drinking is legally permissible, this does not force us to drink. Rather, even people who know that they are allowed to drink, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, it is a group, and generally they are people whose children have died because of DUIs, people who are driving under the influence. So now they are vocally and actively trying to prevent people from indulging in drinking, because they know that there is great loss which will happen. So we can acknowledge that, look, this is legally your right in this country. So I am not going to, I cannot take this right away from you being in this country. But just because you have the right to do it does not force me to do it either. I do not have to do it. I do not even have to think that it's something good to do. I can still dislike it while acknowledging that it is your right in this country. So from our hearts, we should have a dislike towards drinking, because the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, amongst other things, because of the words of Allah, the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that al-khamru juma'ul ithmi, that drinking, that wine and intoxicants are the root of sins. May Allah give us the tawfiq to first and foremost recognize that it is detrimental to us, for us to have a hatred for it in our hearts, and for us to stay away from it and be a means of bringing good to our communities, to ourselves, to our families, and to our communities. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين